NFC East burning questions. You saw me talking about Ezekiel Elliott. Is Ezekiel Elliott a bargain this year at his ADP, Jay? I say yes.
I say yes as well, and the reason is that Ezekiel Elliott is just boring. He's become so boring. He's like to me, he's like Matt Ryan, or what Matt Ryan was like 2 years ago. It's just like everyone has had Ezekiel Elliott on their fantasy team.
Right.
Not everyone's had Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's fun.
Yeah.
He's cool. He gets a lot of yards per carry. He's faster. But I think Zeke, just with the amount of touches that he gets, the amount of red zone carries that he gets, look, he was 5th most red zone touches in the NFL last year.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely the guy that you want in Dallas, even though he's not that fun.
Yeah, and I think that's such a big part of it. Fantasy's emotional, right? And so when you're at your draft, and you're right, at some point you draft Tony Pollard, right? Everyone in the league, right? You know, you draft Romeo Doubs. Yeah. Everyone's like, sleeper. Trendy. Like you draft Ezekiel Elliott and it's a yawn.
Yes.
And it's like, man.
Doesn't register.
Whatever. Whatevs. You know what I mean? But to your point, his boringness works for you. Everyone sits there and goes like, he's a plotter, he's lost a step. Tony Pollard's the exciting one. But I don't know. Look at this guy. That guy looks healthy to me. That's the thing. That's the thing about Ezekiel Elliott. People don't realize this is a guy who tore his PCL in week 4 last year. Yep. Still played because he's tough as nails. But weeks 1 through 4 last year when he hadn't been hurt, he was the 6th best running back in fantasy on a total points basis. He had 4 touchdowns in those 4 games, 99 total yards to your point. He's going to get a ton of work in the red zone. He's going to get a ton of work totally. Yep. Like, this is a guy that's never averaged less than 16 carries a game for his NFL career. He's never had fewer than 1,200 yards from scrimmage in his career. He's one of 6 running backs in the NFL to have had at least 8 touchdowns and 900 rushing yards 6 straight years. Yep. And again, we always say follow the money. Jerry Jones paying him a lot of money this year.
Yeah, he's going to play.
And that, make no mistake, Mike McCarthy's the head coach. He works for Jerry Jones. Yeah. Jerry says, we're playing Zeke.
Yeah, we're playing
Zeke. And so he may not be the most efficient running back, but the volume is there. And considering his current ADP is running back 15, 27th, he's going at the end of the 3rd round. To me, that's a value. I'm in on Zeke. I like him into the 2nd, top of the 3rd. I'm good with you, especially if you go wide receiver in the 1st round. He's an awesome number 2 running back for you in fantasy. Another big-name running back who has fallen on hard times in the eyes of fantasy managers is Saquon Barkley.
Yes, a lot of heartbreak.
So, producer question is, as we move to the Giants, does Saquon Barkley's upside outweigh his risks at ADP?
I think so. And the main reason is you look at his injuries, and they're mostly unrelated. Like tearing your ACL, that's just a fluke. Last year he has the ankle. It seems like he's 100% healthy. He's playing in the preseason for the first time since his rookie season, which is a really good indicator. And he's a generational talent. And we saw what he did in his rookie year. And I think when you're thinking about Saquon, it's just a question of what percentage chance that he replicates his rookie season. If it's 20, 25%, then it's probably worth it. And so I really like him at plus 1,500 to win Comeback Player of the Year. Helps that he plays in New York as well, which helps with your rewards because everyone's going to see Saquon Barkley. My concern for him would be if Daniel Jones just tanks that entire team because he has that potential. There could be some Tyrod Taylor action. I think that with Daniel Jones, the thing with him is he's just never had a moment. Do you remember Sam Bradford when he had that game week 1, like 2017 against the Saints? Yeah. Where he had like 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, 90% completion rate. And if you had not watched football in 20 years, then you came in and just watched that week's games, you'd be like...
Sam Bradford's the greatest quarterback ever lived.
Yeah, you'd be like, all right, the tall guy in New England who wears 12, second best quarterback in the league. Sam Bradford, he's the guy. He's the MVP favorite. Daniel Jones, his most famous moment is tripping over himself on a breakaway touchdown run.
Yes.
He's never had the Sam Bradford game. He's never had anything. And so I think that it could be the end of the tether there, and then you just worry about if that infects Saquon Barkley.
See, what's weird is I'm actually not worried about that because new regime, right? Brian Daboll. And so I think they'll put him in a position to succeed. That's the other thing about the Giants and Daniel Jones specifically. It's just been such a mess with their coaching staff and their front office. Gettleman just that's a whole nother conversation. But what I would say here with Saquon is that if Daniel Jones isn't working, they will put in Tyrod Taylor. And you know what? Tyrod Taylor, again, is a professional quarterback who can run an offense. And so I'm not worried about that. To me, it's Saquon health. But if you're in on Chris McCaffrey at number 2, you absolutely need to be in on Saquon Barkley at running back 13, which is where he's going on Yahoo, because the same thing, the same upside applies, the same risk applies. Yep. And so I'm in on Saquon. Again, I'm not sure I'm in on him at plus 1,500 when comeback player of the year, because to your point, if Baker leads the Panthers to the playoffs, the Giants aren't going to the playoffs this year.
No, probably not.
Right.
I think with Saquon,
he's a big name star in a big name market.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we're going to move on to the Eagles here. Beyond Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, who are you targeting on this offense? For me, the answer is no one. I don't mind. No, listen, I don't mind Devontae Smith where he's going. I don't mind. Dallas Goedert is fine. There are other tight ends in that range that I prefer more than Dallas Goedert because it's still going to be a run-heavy offense.
Yep.
I want no part of the running backs. Miles Sanders will be better than he was last year. Like, he's not going to go scoreless again this year. But, again, I love Jalen Hurts, and so he's always a threat to take goal line touches away. They do want to use a committee there with Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott. And so, Miles Sanders ADP at running back 28, okay, fine.
It's not inspiring.
It's fine, but it's not inspiring.
Yeah, I think the problem with
130 rush attempts last year, 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, and he'll get some touchdowns this year just by accident. But Miles Sanders is going in the same range as Rashad Penny. I'd much rather have Rashad Penny and take that upside.
1,000%.
Yeah. But of the other guys, the non-AJ Brown skill position play, I think Dallas Goedert is the most interesting one, just because for efficiency last year, he was, in terms of per route run, he was averaging more yards than any other tight end in the league. The 2 guys behind him, George Kittle and Mark Andrews. So pretty good company. 100%. So I think that he has potentially has more upside.
He has a ton of upside, and no Zach Ertz there, obviously, and so we'll see. It's just whether with A.J. Brown there and Devontae Smith, do they use Goddard the same way? Because, again, we do think it's going to be a run-heavy offense. And so Goddard's going like his tight end 8. It's fine. It's fine. He's not anyone I'm targeting, but if I wind up with him as my starting tight end, I'm good with it. Let's move to the Washington Commanders. Hail the Commanders. Hail victory. Can Terry McLaurin thrive with Carson Wentz as his quarterback?
Thrive is an aggressive word. It's a really, really positive word.
Yes. The answer is yes.
I think
this is my show. The answer is yes.
With Wentz, we talk about emotion affecting decisions, like with Ezekiel Elliott being boring. Carson Wentz has such a stench around him because of how he exited Philadelphia and Indianapolis and what he did in those last 2 games last season.
Come on, look at this. Like, he's running with no defenders and he catches the ball.
Everyone looks like the second guy.
Right, exactly. How good does he look right here in this one video of him running a route with absolutely no defenders around him and catching the ball?
Yeah. But look, you've been saying it a lot. Carson Wentz, he's a professional quarterback. 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
Last year.
It's just he ended the season so badly. That's what everyone remembers. People don't think about the headline stats, which were largely fine.
Terry McLaurin got paid in the offseason, and there's a reason why. He is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. 130 targets in consecutive seasons. One of only 6 wide receivers that can say it. One of only 9 wide receivers to have at least 1,000 receiving yards in consecutive seasons. Again, look at who his quarterbacks have been. Taylor Heineke, right? Dwayne Haskins, Kyle Allen, Alex Smith. Carson Wentz is the best quarterback Terry McLaurin has ever played with, and it's not close. And so, as you see here on your screen, he's caught passes from Colt McCoy and Garrett Gilbert, Case Keenum, in addition to the aforementioned Kyle Allen, Dwayne Haskins, and Taylor Heineke.
Has it been fun being a Commanders fan since 2019?
It hasn't been fun being a Commanders fan in the last 20 years, to be honest with you. But that's a rant for another day. I just feel like he's still going to. They have more weapons that they have to pay attention to, and so maybe targets go down slightly, but they're going to be a lot more efficient. Think about Michael Pittman, who had 129 targets last year. Over 1,000 receiving yards, 6 receiving touchdowns, right? So I just think Michael Pittman, who was a top 20 wide receiver under Carson Wentz last year and sort of have a coming out party, and I think as much as I like Pittman, I think McLaurin's a better wide receiver, and I think he will get targeted more than Pittman did last year. I think Indy was much more run heavy than Washington will be this year.
That's what I was going to say. Antonio Gibson plus Brian Robinson doesn't equal Jonathan Taylor.
This is factually correct.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.